Hail and good sailing! I'm Jackson from Campaign Coins, and this is BEOWULF Age of Heroes Horror at Herrogate. And what a game it is. An Eddie-nominated setting and rules variations for D&D 5e made just for one DM and just for one mighty heroic player. We are Campaign Coins, and we make real metal coins and tokens and props that enhance your tabletop experience, including for BEOWULF Age of Heroes. And you can look at some of our stuff at campaigncoins.com. And BEOWULF Age of Heroes is, of course, by Handiwork Games. And we'll be delightfully delighted by the sounds of Sirenscape, which is an online service that gives you some real swish music and soundscapes for your tabletop RPGs, and we'll also be hearing selections from the BEOWULF Age of Heroes soundtrack. I think that's all I had to say for myself, so without further ado, we take you to Herrogate.
I shouldn't have had a drink just before then. Apple cider, it's fizzy. Listen, in the Dark Ages, people feared the dark for good reason, for the dark was filled with monsters. But into the light would walk heroes, and they would push the darkness back and slay the monsters and be greatly acclaimed. The Scops would tell their tale. We have gathered to hear the tale of Blaedswith, the Corellian witch, beloved of her followers for her calm and centered gravitas as she walked without fear, while carrying a sword with which she was very accomplished and quick to stab. But word was, in Herrogate, the thing that stalked in the dark and killed the villagers one by one could not be stabbed. It was immune to all blades. The Jarl Thorfinn sat in his hall drinking all day. He declared that heroes could not save them because heroism was dead. The shipbuilder Skard had a more positive view and greeted the hero. Bo the blacksmith knew that no metal could bite the monster. He was despondent. Ursa the fisherwoman, she was hard-headed, even cold, waiting to be impressed. But Blaedswith was here to impress and to rescue and to lift this death from this community, because she had seen the death coming across the ocean, and the whale road and her weird had brought her here. So Blaedswith, there you are in the hall, and you have just addressed Thorfinn, the Jarl. And for a time, talking to you, you sensed a spark of the man that was, the man that had not been drinking for a full year. The man who once was beloved in his community. He looked at you with hope and spoke that terrible confession that, and this is not going to be an exact flashback because I forgot to watch it, but it's a recap previously on.
Highlights.
Something along the lines of, I fear that the monster that stalks in the night may be a drug, my own son. And with that, he looks into the depths of his cup. You should tell people tuning in for the first time, and hello if you are, what Blaedswith looks like and what she looks like in this exact moment, talking to Thorfinn.
Yes, Blaedswith is a warrior, but she's also something else. She's also a woman of the old ways. She trusts in the portents and the omens that she receives through the natural world, and she firmly believes that what is coming is terrible and also inevitable, but that does not preclude the responsibility we have to fight back and create as much comfort as we can while we still can. And it's that attitude that she holds on to as she approaches every challenge thrown at her. In this particular moment, she has recently stepped off her boat after several nasty encounters at sea, so she's probably a little bit battered and bruised. There's dark circles of exhaustion under her eyes. But as the Jarl tells her this tale, she is fully committed to listening to him and looks on with empathy and concern in her eyes, and is taking on board all of his words. And what little energy she has left, she is focusing on him and his tale. And I cannot focus on anything on my screen. Thank you, Cinnamon. Good girl.
Well, indeed, there are large hounds in the hall. Bellies to the warmth, my favourite description from a Rosemary Sutcliffe book about King Arthur, sopping up such warmth as they can. But they are nervous dogs. Their ears are down, their tails are down, because they know that the nights are terrible here. Behind the Jarl, you can see those tapestries, those tales of his heroic son. And you remember, as you're talking about portents and dooms, the omen that brought you here, woven woe. For these tapestries are of a dead man who will do no more deeds, but mended talisman. The meaning of that is not clear to you yet. Now, when you're talking about portents and omens and signs, I believe you have chosen your 4th level feat, and it's kind of hilarious.
I have. It's kind of excellent. I was flipping through the book, and I couldn't not pick this. Where did I put it down? Yes, I selected Fortune's Tide, and to select this feat, you have to be a practitioner of the old ways. So that's one of the reasons I went for it as well. But when you roll a 1 on the D20, you gain a fortune point. If you accept the result, you can spend a fortune point to re-roll a D20, choosing to do so after you've rolled, but before you know if the roll is successful or not. And I can only spend 1 fortune point per roll. But the Fortune Tide feat basically... And for people who have tuned in previously, very, very on brand for Blaedswith, who just bad things happen, and she just goes, as expected, honestly. But we're gonna soldier on.
Saw that coming.
Yeah, saw that one coming, and it's fine, really.
Like an AD&D ranger, never surprised.
Never surprised, and always very accepting of whatever the fates choose to throw at her. So that's Now I'm looking forward to rolling a 1.
Well, Beowulf, the game that lets you roll a 1 and get good shit. So I, of course, will be using these excellent Linda Mills designed great big chunky D20 coins as your fortune points, because that's a mechanic I didn't know I'd have to deal with until you chose that feat. All right. But just a little bit of a reminder of the advantage that you've got, the inspiration you've got in the hopper. So we've got our wonderful kind of playmat down here with this excellent and bona fide Anglo-Saxon symbol, because Jackson saw it in a book. It's historical. There's, of course, Blaedswith. So woven and woe, and mended talisman. So your followers can use inspiration 2 times during this saga. You, Blaedswith, can use it once, but the monster has also inspiration once, and I will use that in the most vicious, vindictive, and heinous fashion I can imagine. Last saga, there was a lot of blood when I used that. But you also have inspiration in the hopper, because in Beowulf you always roll 2 d20 when you have advantage, as usual, but you designate 1 dice to be the old ways dice, and if that's the dice you choose the result from, then you get inspiration from that. So that'll work nicely with your fortune. So that's a little bit of a mechanics preview from the Emmy-nominated Beowulf. Back to the story. Thorfinn, this is like gushed out of him, right? And there's this moment he's seized, but then he kind of looks into his kind of beer, or his mead rather, and you can almost see his shoulders slump. It's like the energy to do this is almost taking its toll, because he's not had any belief for a year since his wife died, and now you can see it leaching out of him. And at the worst possible moment, the doors open, and in walks a tall woman bearing a spear. Technically, a spear enters the room, and it is followed by a tall woman. She has red hair. It's tied back. She has a mail shirt, and she has kind of stoops a little as she walks in. As Thorfinn says, Hilda, what news? And Hilda, that must be the woman's name, says, Sigrid is dead. And who's this? You're the newcomer. And Hilda is kind of sizing you up. And you may strike a pose, and I will tell you if she's impressed or not.
Blaedswith just simply allows herself to be sized up. She doesn't return the gesture. She doesn't. She looks Hilda full in the face, unsmiling, but not in a rude way, just in a accepting way, and allows herself to be sized up without bristling or any kind of reaction that she finds this rude or anything like that. She just allows it to happen while staring back at Hilda, clear-eyed and focused.
Right, so not boastful, not kind of puffing yourself up, but just very matter of fact, and surrounded, of course, by warriors, your followers. Yes. There is Annika, and she's a hard woman. There is Heike, a wannabe hard man, and of course Maida, your scribe, and as we discovered last session, a poet, because she said honeyed words about you. We're just retconning that in because that's how poetry works. To impress Thorfinn. And of course, we know that the arts lift our soul, which is why government should fund the arts during lockdown.
Government should fund the arts during lockdown, and I'm mad about it, and I'm allowed to be mad about it. I'm going to continue to be mad about it.
Because stories give us life. As they did then. They make sense of the darkness. So Maida is now writing down everything that was said. She'll be there all day. So as a follower, she is spent. Of course, you've got Simo there, and they are now lying belly to the warmth with the dogs, because that's
I would expect
Simo rolls.
Less.
Usually rolls across the floor. To the delight of the children, who have very little call for delight. Now, you could make an insight roll.
I sure can, if my cat would get off my dice. I'm going to be doing this all night. She's decided she has to be on the computer screen, and you can't actually see her getting up there just once she's arrived.
Every time Cinnamon appears, we gain a follower. Go, Cinnamon. MVP.
Okay. So I'm going to roll insight, you said?
Yes, please.
Okay.
It's a wisdom-based skill.
Yes, it is. There it is. That is a very hard to read dice. 18.
18.
15 on the dice.
So as Hilda comes in and she's addressing Thorfinn, and then she sees you. In fact, because you've been kind of so calm in this moment and surrounded by warriors, and that is a new thing. You would describe the expression on her face prior to clocking you was borderline contempt. Like she was reporting to a lord, but not in a kind of, so great news. It's like, Jarl, Sigrid is dead. And with a lot of bitterness, like another person is dead. And indeed, Thorfinn says, I told you, we must fight together, Hilda. Gather all your warriors, and this new one, you can kill it. Aye, my lord. So Hilda throws down an axe with a kind of clang. You can see that Sigrid thought, look where the blade has been bitten. Look where it did not bite. And that axe definitely has the kind of massive kind of dents into it. It looks blunted, as though mashed against something that it could not penetrate.
It's problematic.
And the body, gone. You should go, Blaedswith. This is how it ends. A hero is just a fool who's not dead yet.
Be as that may, it pains me to see your village in suffering. I would spend some time with Hilda if she does not object, and perhaps fresh eyes on the situation might yield alternate results.
All right, so you've turned the conversation to impress Hilda. All right, which is a smooth tactic, but you need to impress Hilda as well. That she's going to want to have open up to you. So, all right. So this is going to be insight. Do you have a follower with a gift related to physical strength?
Oh, I think I do just that. I think Annika possibly. Annika has hardened is death saving throws. It doesn't say strength.
I'm happy to say as that, but what would happen if you want to activate Annika for advantage is that Annika would swear to, and what will happen is she'll look around the other warriors and make some recommendations. So she will be spending the rest of the day in the village if you want to spend her for advantage. Oh, sorry, that's not for advantage. That's for increase your success.
Oh, increase my success. Okay. I think Annika is actually for the rest of the day. Well, I think, because it's not session based, so sessions are very short. So no, I think Annika is too valuable in battle for this to be how she is used.
Okay.
I think I'm just going to rely on myself, and you know what? I've got my own fortune, don't I?
You've got fortune, there's two different mechanics at play here, fortune and inspiration. But right here on the play mat here, you've got an inspiration. It's fantastic inspiration tokens designed by Paul Byrne, which I can't get into the camera because left is left and right is right. Oh, there it is. It's like a performing monkey. Yeah, I got there in the end.
Oh yes, I've got some of those. Yes, here we go.
My God. Oh, look at that detail. Look at them gems. And there they are. Fantastic. Well,
wow.
You may spend to roll 2d20. Because you're rolling with advantage, remember to specify which is your old ways dice.
I think my old ways dice has got to be my hematite dice. Actually, the first set that I ever bought from Level Up Dice, Australian dice maker, who many people know and love, but this is the first set I ever bought.
Out to Alex, local legend. What a lovely, lovely man who sells beautiful dice.
Beautiful dice.
All right.
Many, many years
Let's see if it rolls a 1. Fortune's tied.
Yeah, so the hematite dice will be my old ways dice.
Hilda already thinks you're impressive. The difficulty is only 10.
Okay, well, unfortunately I'm not selecting my old ways dice. But that'll be insight +3, that'll be a dirty 20.
All right. So that because you didn't select the dice, you're not going to regrow that inspiration.
That's okay.
But it might come back at a future point. But, however, you've offered to take Hilda aside and you're just standing there looking competent, like, let's get shit done. Is there somewhere we can talk? And Hilda says, hi, I'll show you around.
Marvelous.
Okay. Where's Fraud? I don't know. I'm not his keeper. Aye, but he is yours. So that's very insolent, and Thorfinn doesn't rise to it.
It's peculiar. Never have I met a Jarl who would not potentially threaten life or limb for that kind of backtalk, but...
All right. So you're going outside with Hilda. Again, looking around Herrogate, and we've got that kind of top-down map of the place. We can reveal the whole map key now because you've been to all the important places. So there is there's the longhouse, and looking out to sea from whence you sailed. There's an island far out to sea too that you sailed past, and you think you can just see a little kind of glimpse of some gulls and maybe a roof or two. That's another village across the waters there, and looking about, you can see that not merely, I mean, some of these buildings are burnt, some of them have got axe marks because of fighting has been happening here, but everything just looks a bit shabby.
Yeah.
Like people really here have lost some ability to, they've lost leadership, they've lost care.
They just don't really care, do they?
So, welcome, Blaedswith.
Blaedswith, yes. I've heard the story of what's going on here from several different individuals.
Have you? And she looks a bit kind of surprised, and then she composes herself. Ah, yes, of course.
But I would very much like to hear your telling of the tale, as it seems as though you are one of the few who has come up against this beast.
I have. This is hard for me. I have come up against this monster, and I fought it, and I saved a fisherwoman. She was walking home, and this was early, and the monster sprang, I know not from where, from mist. It was, and it's hard for me to say monster because what I mean to say, my friend, the monster is Arn, the son of the Jarl. I told the Jarl this, but he did not believe me. He refused to accept it. Which is funny because he told you just the same thing. So clearly he's
this is clearly having some issues. That's he can resolve those later.
It nearly killed me. Well, he nearly killed me. He struck me and knocked the helmet from my head. Sorry, I knocked it. I'm so confused. I knocked its helmet off, and I saw his face. I know his face. We grew up together. Oh, the years, the hours we spent. You've never seen a fisherman like him. He would catch 4 times more than anyone else. He was clever with his hands. He was funny. He was quick. And then he followed his destiny to be the great Jarl. And he was lost in his father's shadow. And then she sighs heavily.
I have known many a young man who has suffered a similar malady of being in their father's shadow. You say you knocked the helmet from his head and blades do not strike him, but you still recognized him. What is different about him? Is there anything physical, visible, different about him now that makes him fearsome?
It was awful. It was him, and yet it was not him. It was large, but I knew his face. He was swollen. He was monstrous, but I knew him, and he held a like a claw. His hands, it's like his nails have grown after death, splitting the skin. Oh, I cannot get it out of my head now that I'm talking about it. But my spear just broke, And I knew that I was going to die, but when I saw him, I yelled his name, and then he saw me, and he slumped and staggered back. I believe he knew me. And then
you think there was something of him left?
We had peace for all of that autumn, but in the winter he returned.
He forgot. You reminded him of his humanity, but the winter made him forget, as it makes us all forget.
He always loved me. And you can make an insight roll on that one. Actually, you got an insight of 20. How many insights do I have to make you roll?
No, I'm fairly. Yeah, I think.
You have been in the situation where some of your followers have got a little bit starry-eyed about you,
love,
and the way she says that,
yeah,
you know that he always loved her, but she didn't love him.
Love him, yeah.
Like she loved him, but you didn't.
But you didn't love it. Yeah, that might have been a bit one-sided. But you reminded him of his humanity, which is important, especially if, as you say, blades cannot touch him. Is there any regularity to these attacks? Does it happen at a particular interval or under particular circumstances? Anything?
When it is always in the night, and when the deaths resume, they were relentless and terrible. And the monster howls around the hall, and it kills indiscriminately. It has no end to its lust for death.
You know not where it comes from, nor where it goes after the destruction has been completed.
Appears and disappears, but I can tell you that Arn is buried in the graveyard.
Well, this may sound like a horrible, callous, indeed potentially evil suggestion. However, I think it may be important to look at his body during the daylight hours.
That I could not do that. I could not.
I would not ask you to. I would ask perhaps for your forgiveness and potentially allowance. For I know his father is the one to ask that, but I can sense the love between the two of you.
You are here, and I welcome you. I welcome you, and I think I know it is Arn, and I know that he does not rest easy. I think there are truths that would set him free.
I agree.
Sometimes heroes are not all they seem to be. Are you?
I agree. I do not know how I seem to you, so I'm not in a position to answer that honestly. I try to be true to my own perception of myself, however,
there are some
we are
truths,
each a distorted mirror.
There are some truths that are not mine to tell.
I will
do as I can to keep people safe here. And suddenly her face lights up. She's looking away. Her face lights up with a huge smile, a smile of great fondness. And that fisherwoman, Ursa, who gave you absolute shit, is walking up towards the Jarl's Hall with the catch of the day. And Hilda gives her a very fond smile. And Ursa kind of smiles back to her and goes into the hall.
Right. Following that one, got it. Very complicated, unrequited love situation as I see it. Good for them. Good for them. I think, and Blaedswith will follow this visually and but not say anything about it.
Heike, clueless Heike.
Course.
Oh, do you reckon she's betrothed?
Bam! Oh. Just an elbow. Just immediate hit. As soon as he gets, like, he doesn't get the whole sentence out. As soon as he gets to, oh, do you reckon she?
Bang! Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Foot meat mouth.
2.3 seconds. You're slowing down, says Annika.
Distracted. Thank you, Hilda. Your information has been potentially illuminating, and I appreciate and respect your truth. I agree with you that secrets and truth and love may be more effective than blades in this trouble that you're having. Without compromising yourself in any particular way, is there anybody else who I should be speaking to? I will, of course, visit his grave out of respect. However, are there any other conversations that you think I should have?
It is a small place. I'm sure you've. Don't waste your time with Bo. But you talked to Frode. No, actually, you haven't met Frode yet.
No, I haven't. Which one was that?
He is he's the wise man. He is counselor to the Jarl, and to Forfin's father before him, and would have been to Arn. There he comes now. He sleeps late these days. Indeed, emerging from the hall comes an old man, leaning heavily on a walk stick, dressed in plain sackcloth.
I will bid my new warrior friend, goodbye.
Okay. Well, Hilda reaches forward. Hilda goes for a clasp with you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Strength recognizes strength. Game recognizes game.
And it's one of those actual kind of warm bonding clasps, not one of those.
We're not sizing each other up anymore. This is companionable. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Hilda. I appreciate your words.
I am sorry. I should have greeted you and nobody woke me. You must think we are terrible hospitality, and I would have you know that I welcome you.
I think you were a
but
village
I've
in pain.
come to ask you to leave. I'm sorry.
I see. And your haste in this matter would be.
Forfin thinks it would be better if you left us to our own problems. And that was his statement to me. He says with the air of a person who is delivering a message without a shred of enthusiasm for the message.
Yeah. I see. Alas, I have one of my followers who is learned in the ways of poetry and the stories and the tales of heroes. She is currently sitting with your Jarl, and I do believe it will take her at least 2 days. And I'm going to shoot a very pointed look at another one of my followers,
as indeed you hear like a scream of rage. Enough! Comes from the hall. With a bit of a yelp from Mida.
Right. Never mind. Frode, was it? Frode?
Yes.
I would not like to disturb the Jarl further, and you can be assured that we'll be on our way as soon as
It comes Mida out of the hall, trailing kind of, quills and papers. He's burning the tapestries.
Oh dear. I'm gonna shoot a look to the advisor. Now might be a good time to go advise, shall we?
Many times he's wanted to, and now he's finally done it. Come,
Mida, come, everybody. Let's.
All right, so
I'm going to offer my arm to the elderly man.
All right, well, this is a moment for you to imply that you're here to change the fortunes of Herrogate? Because he has long lost hope in them. Would you like to persuade him?
As we hightail it up to prevent the priceless tapestries being burned, absolutely, I will, extol the virtues of a second set of eyes.
Well, actually, we can do one of two things. You can either rush in there to stop the destruction of priceless artifacts, or you can have a chat to Frode. Seems like you're in a hurry.
I'll have a chat to Frode.
All right. Okay.
And I will send my people up to the hall. With Hildy, presumably, is also going to do a runner.
Hilda is become aware, but it's like everybody. It's like the Jarl just goes off.
Whatever. All right. If she's not worried,
this is not a new thing for them.
If Fred's not worried, I'm not worried. I'm going to talk to our friend, the advisor here.
All right. So we're making persuasion. The difficulty is 12. This is charisma based. But you have succeeded with Hilda. You've made a friend of Hilda. That gives you advantage.
Yeah. Ooh, nice.
And when you have advantage, you roll 30-20. Nominate your old ways, level up
old
dice.
Ways dice.
See if it doesn't hose you this time.
Ooh, I don't think it did. So 13 on the dice, and persuasion is +4. So that is very good. That's 17.
17, and you've chosen your old ways dice as the dice you've succeeded
have.
in. Then boom, inspiration comes back to you. Cha-ching. Woo.
Yeah.
So that gets replenished. So Frode kind of looks at you quite levelly and says, the Jarl believes he is cursed. Whether he is cursed or not, it is something he has brought upon himself, and he has fewer friends by the day, and it is harder and harder for me to have people do his bidding. I believe a new leader would raise the fortunes of Herrogate. And he looks at you quite, kind of, maybe it's you kind of, and this is abject betrayal of all of his duties, but just indicate how much they're over Thorfinn.
Yeah. In an attempt to be diplomatic, Blaedswith is going to kind of gaze over at Hilda. I have definitely been to villages where true tragedy has impacted caring and empathetic, strong leaders to the point where they've needed additional counsel temporarily while they recover from the emotional malady of having their people decimated in such a way. And I do believe that you are correct and very astute that Hildy would be a wonderful support for your Jarl during this brief period.
Yes. All right. Well, he thinks that's quite good counsel. Hilda, of course, is completely oblivious to you.
Yes,
kind of
correct.
upping her. As the fisherwoman has caught up with Hilda on her way to the hall, and Ursa stops for a moment and says, "What's happening?" And Hilda says, "I think he's burning the tapestries." "Ah," says Ursa. Hilda says, "Probably for the best."
Everybody's a little bit down, aren't they?
They are.
Bit of the old depression in this village.
No, there was...
Bit of the old sads.
That was from Hilda, she really actually did think those tapestries should be burned. That was more a statement of truth. It's
right.
It's like, we're going to burn the deeds of harm.
Yeah. Why not? It's an odd thing to say, but all right.
Yeah. All right, are you going to the hall or are you leaving Thorfinn to his...
let it burn. I want to visit the graveyard. I would like to visit Arn's grave. That's what I'd like to do. And I think I would like to leave... I'm going to... just have a look see. I want Simo with me. Oh, I have to go. Did Simo run out of the hall with Mida? Or is he
that's hilarious. No. But
Simo.
Simo does emerge around now, like, doing a bit of a Simo dance.
Mate,
and
no.
comes on down.
No dancing.
Check it out.
What?
Check it. Look.
What?
And Simo scored a scrap of tapestry.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Great. Cool. Yeah, really good. A little bit of larceny. Love to see it.
Got his legs. Got his legs.
Oh, you got his legs.
Yep,
Hey, why do you have two left feet?
Check out those knees.
Great. Good work, Simo. A bit of petty larceny. That's what we like to see.
All right,
Mida,
you are going to go to the graveyard.
I am. Mida is already spent, though, isn't she?
Mida is spent. Mida is completely flustered and is going back to the boat. And
I am going to tell Mida
down
that she's
working on the boat. So you're going with Annika, Heike, and Simo.
Alas for Mida, this is just for story purposes, knowing that she is spent. I'm going to gently turn Mida around and face her towards the hall and be like, this will need to be recorded. I'm sorry, Gita is looking after the boat. I need you at the hall.
He told me to tell you to piss off and to take me with you.
That's fine. Go with Hilda. Get Hilda to take you back up to the hall, or get what was the advisor's name for
Frode. So all of them are going
Frode
up
to
there.
take you back up to the. Go with them. He won't even notice you've come back in.
And in fact, there's something mercurial about Forfin's rages, his peaks and his lows. It's
he will
completely
want to tell
true.
the story. Sorry.
In fact, you can make a perception roll for me.
Surely can. Sort of. 13, I think. Let me double check.
13's great.
Perception's
13's
higher.
great.
No, 15.
That's even better. He is weeping. Great racking sobs with occasional coughing because of all the burnt wool. So, Frode and Hilda and everyone's like, here we go. They're heading in there.
I'm starting to understand what Frode means. Yeah.
All right, leaving you.
Yes, I want Simo with me.
You can pull Gita off carpenter duty. She's not spent. If you want her to come to the graveyard with Annika and Heike and...
Have a look at Gita. No, I think Gita is best left where she is at the moment for various reasons.
Well, also, I mean, the crew, the 30 crew, they'd be getting a little bit, monster, you say, killing people?
Yeah.
Right.
I think Gita and her faith in the one true God is best left on the boat. She can lead them in a prayer circle.
All right, I'm just going to do a little scene change for no reason at all. No reason for the scene change whatsoever. I just feel like, stretching my limbs.
Feel like it?
So why don't you describe the aspect and progression of Blaedswith and her followers as they head north from the village towards a wandering trail.
Well, the mists still have not cleared, which is odd enough. The sight of the mists persevering throughout the day is made slightly more odd by Simo, who refuses to walk and simply must skip at the head of our party up towards the graveyard, waving the piece of tapestry like a pennant above his head as the rest of us follow in a much more adult fashion with Annika at the front. She does not allow Blaedswith to go first. She forms the front guard always, but with Blaedswith a bare half step behind her. Annika and Blaedswith, being fast friends, they understand each other, and Blaedswith understands Annika's need to be the protector in this instance. And Heike taking up the rear and making sure every couple of steps to look behind him to make sure that they're not being followed, which of course on this rocky trail up north from the village causes him to trip and stumble every couple of steps. And every time he does, you can see like a vein in Annika's neck go, where she's just like, this kid, his heart's in the right place, but the execution leaves something to be desired.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, good scene setting. As I try to get my guys into camera, something like that. So now we can reveal a lovely piece of John Hodgson art. Check out his Patreon. John, of course, is the publisher of the mighty mind behind Handiwork Games, although maybe it's his son Rory, really. But one of his beautiful painterly maps. But you are walking up towards the graveyard, and we also have a nice John painting of this scene. Moss-laden, sunken stones. The graveyard is lumpy. And there is a raised cairn and trees which have died. There is no greenery up here. This is a bad-smelling stretch of ground. And as you walk, you feel yourself sinking into the loam, walking up that hill along that path in between those kind of boulders, but there is no joy here. And you can see that the mound is open, its door split in two. What do you do?
Right. I turn to my followers. Right. We have been informed by the villagers, as I'm sure you've overheard, that steel does no good here. We have
a degree of raising of shields.
That is probably the only thing that will save you. We are during the day, however, and I've been reliably informed that whatever is happening here only happens at night. However, I'm not sure if within the cairn counts as daylight, given that there is no daylight there. I have also been informed that perhaps there are some uncomfortable truths that must be revealed in order to ease the pain of this village and let Arn rest easy as he so deserves. I would like us to spread out, stay within earshot. Do not lose sight of one another in the mist. See if there is anything interesting on the graves. The deceased, the departed, often have much to tell us. Anything unusual, out of order. Maida has informed you all of as much of the family history as she has been able to uncover so far. Anything unusual, point it out, and we will hopefully be able to enter the cairn before nightfall.
All right, so let us, Jackson, who's the invisible hand of cinematographer and everything, all the cool shit you see on this stream is because Jackson is a clever fella. So there we are. Okay, there's our scene again. All right, I'll just pull this down a little ways. So that is the entrance to the cairn up here. And here is your crew. Here's you kind of going straight up the guts. As everybody begins to spread out, there are other gravestones around here. And Annika is saying, nobody buried recently, which is weird because everyone's dying.
And I'm going to kind of call back. I've heard the bodies are never recovered.
Well, that's not good, says Simmer.
No, not ideal.
And Heike is like, let us light torches and slay this beast. And Heike's very keen to step up to you, completely off-pissed already, saying, let's go in. If that's a dungeon, there might be a dragon.
I think there is no dragon, but I think there's a dead thing who cannot be touched by axes.
All right.
Although I appreciate your enthusiasm, Ike.
Because you have gone forwards, you can see that mound, it's a burial mound. I described the door as cracked. It is clear that it was cracked from the inside. Bang! The stone was split from within. And there's a very noxious kind of fume and vapor. And it is very clear to you that is where the death is. And that you yourself do not yet understand that death.
No.
Now, if you're wondering if you should go in and see if you can kill it, remember, you actually have a skill. You have a thing that Blaedswith can do. I believe...
Heck, I sure do.
It's not signs and portents.
No.
Subtle omens.
Yes.
None of you could hear that, but we had the voice of God, or Jackson. Here saying subtle omens. It was very subtle. It was so subtle.
It was extremely subtle. It was a very subtle omen.
Broken the magic of television.
No, you shouldn't. Give credit where credit is due.
You can only do this once every long rest, but if you like, you can reach and feel the nature of the earth, the tone of the sky, or perhaps you can look to the bones buried around you. You can look for sign as to whether going into this can will result in weal, which is a good thing, woe, which is a bad thing. Weal or woe could be either way, or nothing. It's empty. Forget it. Would you like to use your subtle omens?
I would like to pull Simo over to me, knowing that he has learned it in the old ways and just generally knows these things. However, I am definitely going to use my subtle omens. However, I don't think I need a subtle omen to tell me that going into that can is going to be bad news. What I'm going to kind of try and pick up from the atmosphere of the graveyard and from talking to Simo, my trusted follower, who, though he may appear a bit of a fool, is extremely learned in the old ways, whether there are any answers in this graveyard, like continuing to fossick around amongst the gravestones without going into the can, whether that is a course of action that is going to lead positive results or negative results in terms of just delaying further the inevitable. So less about going into the can, because that's bad news. It's just, I know it's bad news. Blaedswith knows it's bad news. Everybody who looks at it knows it's bad news. Just, whether there's other things we can do beforehand.
All right.
Particularly what we're doing right now, is this worthwhile, is really the...
All right. So are you activating Simo? Are you going to spend them?
I don't know if I'll spend Simo or if that was just for flavor, just because he knows shit. Let me just have a look at Simo. No, I want to hang on to Simo. This was just for flavor. This is just, she's bouncing ideas off her follower.
That's okay. That's okay. Flavor is good.
Yeah. No, hanging on to Simo.
Simo is... The dead are not here, but they are gone. They're gone. But there will be no grave for us here, because no one is buried. The death takes everything and everyone, and soon Herrogate itself will be gone. Just empty houses, unless you, Blaedswith, if it's possible, maybe not today. I'm going to die terribly.
Almost
one
certainly.
day. I knew that when I started to follow you, that one day it's an awful death. But I don't mind. I don't. Did that help?
Thanks, Simo. Pleasure as always.
You're welcome.
I'm going to give him just like ruffle his hair. Thanks, Simo. Pleasure as always.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Very long hair, wavy hair. And you are calming Simo, but as the day moves on, you didn't need a subtle omen, so you haven't used exactly.
Well, no, I do want to use the subtle omen, but not for going into the cairn. I would like to use the subtle omen for looking for information around the village, like the course, because the way it's worded is describe a potential course of action, and the potential course of action is looking for clues in this graveyard. In this graveyard
is all right, sure. So you think I'm looking for truths. Are the truths here?
The truths. Are they here? Are they going to be here in this graveyard?
All right. So you are thinking. All right. I'm looking for some sense, and describe your body language or how you reach into yourself or into the world. This is a moment of witchcraft or intuition. You tell me.
Well, they're one and the same. For Blaedswith, anyway.
Yep.
I think after that wonderful interaction with Simo, which is par for the course for him, Blaedswith is going to do just a quick kind of scan of the graveyard and find somebody who, with a hero's stone, with the hero's name, who died far too young, and contemplate their end. It doesn't matter if it was from a long time ago, or if they had any relation to the current villagers there now, just somebody who she feels could have been a kindred spirit, and speak this question into the earth.
All right, so you touch the earth, you touch the cold loam, and so you're using your subtle omens, so the answer can be woe, will or woe, or nothing. It is nothing. It is, and what the nothing tells you is there is nothing to be learned here. And here's the insight that accompanies that. The insight is as follows. You're at the grave of what looked like to be a Huskarl, somebody who bore arms and fought bravely and eventually died. There is, whatever you see on their tombstone or their tapestry is the story. But that is not the truth. The truth lies in those who saw those deeds, the places where the deeds were done. That is where you find truth, because everything else is just the legend. And you think this is where it ended, but this is not where it began. And so that's the insight you have. And then, this noxious exhalation of death as ravens light up and fly into the sky, and you see with certainty this icy cold malevolence in that tomb, watching you and waiting for the sun to go down so that it can kill you.
Sick. Cool. Super fun. Love it. Fun, great, good.
And that would be the end of our hour.
Yep. I thought it would be. Yep.
All right.
Super cool.
Right. Jackson, if you're speaking, no one can hear you.
I sure was. One day I'll get it right. Oh, well. What an hour it was, I was saying. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Alex, for that. Yet again, excellent entry into Campaign Coin's playthrough of Beowulf Age of Heroes Horror at Herrogate, which is from Handiwork Games. And we were Campaign Coins. We make real metal tokens and coins to enhance your role-playing experience. You can have a look at our stuff at campaigncoins.com, including some of the Beowulf metal that you saw on display. The Beowulf Inspiration Token and the Beowulf Compass are all up there. Some of those sound cues were from the Beowulf Age of Heroes official soundtrack, and many of the other soundscapes we were hearing are from Sirenscape. And this cat is from Alex's desk. That's where they are at all times.
Oh, you're going to need some new headphones, mate.
Yeah, this is just what she's like.
What a great time. We'll be back at the same time next week with more Beowulf Age of Heroes, but do look us up on Twitter and Facebook and all the socials at Campaign Coins, because every now and then we are inspired to bust out some other games on this channel, and I'm sure we'll have other ideas coming up. So I think that's all for now. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time on the Whale Road. Bye for now.
Thanks all.